One unforgettable night of classics, the Guess Who? With special guest Don Felder. Mystic Lake Amphitheater, June 25th. Tickets on sale now. Get all the details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Yeah, one more hour to go on the Tennafitzgerald shortened version today. Of course, you can podcast it on the iHeartRadio app at .com, and it'll be back tomorrow. But at least for one day,
boy.
Mark Rosen, you get a break from the common man. How great does this feel?
Well, I always mention the fact that, I monitor kind of, my blood sugar and my blood pressure.
Yep.
Just, get to be a certain age, and I got it on my phone, on my app, and I can tell already that my blood pressure is much lower than it normally is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So you can draw the line and figure it out yourself, but Dr. Burns always tells me that, and I said, well, it's you try working with Common for an hour. You try working for 3 hours.
5 days a week.
Anyway, good to see you.
You got it good. Good to see you as well.
Yes.
Stars all seem to be aligning towards Kyler Murray being the next Minnesota Vikings quarterback because Geno Smith is now going back to where he was drafted. He's going to the New York Jets, getting traded from the Las Vegas Raiders. And they were kind of thought to be like the main competition for the top quarterback on the market with the Vikings. Now it's, I guess Vegas would still need another quarterback, even though they're going to have the number one pick that they are going to commit to. And I guess Pittsburgh technically can need a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers hasn't committed on paper yet there. But it does appear that the Vikings are going to get the quarterback of their choice, and Kyler Murray might be that choice.
Well, if you're in Kyler Murray's camp, and this is all transpiring today and looking at where they're at and where they were even before the free agency period began, and now as we hit towards the official opening of free agency tomorrow at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever it is. You're playing that game of musical chairs with the teams in the NFL. If you're Kyler Murray, you're kind of running out of teams that even make sense for him to go to. And that's discounting the fact that I think in his mind, Minnesota was always the number one choice for him for lots of reasons. I'd be very surprised, of course, like everybody else at this point. I mean, you talked, I know, at the outset of the show today about A-Rod and the fascination, the endless fascination with Aaron Rodgers, and that's okay. And even I was in the coroner's office before I came in here, and I brought up Kirk O'Chains again, only in the context of this part of the conversation to say, and it's a rhetorical question, does Kirk represent a little bit more of what the Vikings need right now? In other words, I still think that we're avoiding the elephant in the room, and that's J.J. McCarthy and where he's at, where he's going, and what his future is with this football team. And none of these things can be answered, certainly on March. What's today's date? March
10th.
10th. My gosh. They won't be answered in the first preseason game or the second or the third. But it doesn't discount the fact that you don't give up on a guy you drafted that highly. I mean, everyone's like, well, Kyler Murray's. Well, this is supposed to be J.J. McCarthy's team, his year, his time. If the injuries are behind him, he's gone back to quarterback camp, whatever it might be. That there's a reason why the Vikings moved up to draft him. And does Kirk Cousins represent more of that perfect kind of backup? He already experienced it in Atlanta. We all know what happened. He went to Atlanta, then they drafted Penix, which shocked him on draft night. Kirk plays after Penix gets hurt, and Kirk gets back in the lineup, and now he's gone, and he's out there, and Penix is, he's still recovering from an injury. So I'm thinking if Kirk would have come here, I'm not saying
they got two lefties there now with Tua Tagovailoa.
Correct. That's right. And they got Tua now. Where Kyler Murray comes in here, and I mean, and so of course, and as it should, it squarely puts all that pressure on J.J. McCarthy to perform at the highest possible level right away. I mean, they can't afford to give games away in September. But it also funnels into that whole conversation about, and we've all worked at this station long enough, and I'm not saying that it's about the fans' reaction to things, but we all know damn well if J.J. McCarthy starts out the season like he did last year, except for the comeback he had against the Bears in the fourth quarter. I mean, the restlessness having Kyler Murray in the bullpen is going to be palpable. I mean, it's not going to take long at all when you got that guy on the sidelines who has started how many NFL games. Whatever you think of him right now as an NFL quarterback, it's going to be a much different feeling because it's like, well, we're just waiting for JJ to mess up, and now it's Kyler's team. And once he gets in there, then what? Is that going to be the end of what we're going to see from J.J. McCarthy? It just adds, and I'm not saying it's a wrong decision. I think Kyler Murray is going to be a Minnesota Viking probably within 24 hours. And
if he is, it ain't a competition with J.J. McCarthy.
What do you mean?
J.J. McCarthy's your backup quarterback.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're not competing. They might say they're competing for the job. They ain't. McCarthy.
Well, okay, so let's just
Kyler's coming here with, hey, I'm the number one quarterback.
All right, let's go with that assumption.
Yeah.
And have that discussion.
I think if Aaron Rodgers came on, that's not a competition.
Kyler Murray's, 28 years old?
Kirk Cousins comes here, it might not be a competition.
But I'm just saying, so where does that leave the organization from a standpoint of drafting what you thought was going to be a franchise quarterback without having seen him play?
You thought. Well, that's past tense. There's a difference in you thought and you are thinking.
But if you're
right, let's look at the Wild for example. Right, the Wild, was it 2 years ago, Brett, where they traded for David Juracek, and they gave up a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and Damon Hunt for him. All right, now they've just taken David Juracek and traded him to Philadelphia for Bobby Brink. Bobby Brink, they lost value in what you acquired David Juracek at this point, and you sold him for way lower than what you bought him for. But at some point, you just go, he ain't the guy. We got to cut bait while we can, and that might be where the Vikings are here with J.J. McCarthy.
Well, then that decision's pretty much already been made, is what I'm saying. You're not going to. Yeah. If that's the case, and indeed, Kyler signs here and ends up going to TCO, and we're out there covering practices in July, and he's running the number one offense when whatever team comes in here to scrimmage the Vikings. That you've already decided based on not just his body of work and his lack of durability last year, but his lack of progress, whatever they're seeing or not seeing right now, and your own impression of talking to everybody else on that football team. Yet you're getting snippets from other, maybe players on the team saying, I still believe in him and I still believe he's the guy. It just would strike me odd that, if KOC feels that way and that's the decision, you gotta live with it because unfortunately, and it's not like Kyler Murray can't play in this league for another 10 years. At 28, obviously he's had some injuries, but he can figure that out. But to make that call right now from that draft class based on his injuries and the lack of availability, and then his inability to kind of win enough football games, you got to make that decision in April. Not in September, that you're saying Kyler Murray's going to be the starting quarterback. What are you telling Kyler Murray as he's about to sign that contract with the Vikings? We're going to have a fair competition.
Thanks for coming here. You're the starter.
No, I don't believe they're going to tell him that. Do you really think they're going to tell him that? I don't.
I don't think they're signing Kyler Murray unless the intention is to start.
Well,
if you wanted someone to if you still had a belief in J.J. McCarthy that he could be a starting quarterback. But you just wanted to give him more competition. If you wanted a competition type quarterback, that's when you go and get a Marcus Mariota, right? That's the level of quarterback you get. Kyler Murray has done more in his career to be above the.
Well, if that's the case, then don't you just try to?
Kyler Murray's he's going to the Jets if he has if he thinks if he had been, well, I guess technically maybe he hasn't talked with the Vikings, but if there was the thought that Kyler Murray would have to compete with J.J. McCarthy, he'd go, all right, well, I'll go play with the Jets where I'm a starting quarterback and I don't have competition.
Look, I don't envy them. It's really crazy because the Vikings have been dying to draft a so-called franchise quarterback for how many decades now. And if they, in their own minds, draft one, and then we know he got beset with the injury, which was out of his control the first year. The first year was completely wiped off the map. comes back and, then he gets hurt again and he's ineffective and has a couple of really good games. But if you make that decision right now, a clear-cut decision to say, well, then cut bait and you move on from him. I mean, then you don't need J.J. McCarthy as a backup.
The problem is his value has been lowered to the point where cutting bait. What's the point of cutting bait at this point? To get a 5th-round pick? I'd rather still roll with him with the potential that he might have to be a quarterback someday.
Yeah,
his value's gotten so low, it's not worth selling him anymore.
I feel like I need to ask the question that everyone is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Is your opinion that it's going to be an open competition your thoughts, or maybe something you may have overheard?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe you overheard.
Trying to get into that brain of yours over there.
Making breakfast with
is this your source? Is this your source?
No. It's just my own twisted brain.
Right.
I just feel like, and we've talked so many times about that quarterback class, and we've seen over the years quarterbacks develop at a different level at a different time. Not necessarily the first year, the second year, third year. Oh, there's no doubt this is a make or break year for J.J. McCarthy. No matter how you look at it, I mean, not necessarily his entire career, but certainly with the Minnesota Vikings. Listening to your feelings about it, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just to say, Kyler Murray signed with the Vikings when it opens, thinking, you're our starting quarterback. I cannot see KOC coming out in his news conference, or Rob Brzezinski, or anyone else saying, Kyler Murray's going to be a Minnesota Viking, and right now he is our starting quarterback. I would wager every dollar I have.
They might not say it that way, but that's
I'm just saying, I don't even think
they might be trying to soften the blow for J.J. McCarthy, but that is what they are believing.
I don't even believe they're going to sell Murray on it that way, but we'll see. I don't know. But he's the guy. I mean, he's clearly going to have to be the guy. I mean, unless Kirk O'Chain's, that's what I'm saying. If Kirk O'Chain's decide, they say, look, I'd rather go this route. I mean, Murray may string this thing out a little bit too. I mean, he's going to be a free agent after this year. He doesn't have to sign with the Vikings tomorrow. He can go ahead and
the options are dwindling.
Well, no, but I mean, not so much just this year, but it's also like, your agent knows what's going on and what quarterbacks are going to be available. Almost planting the seed for a year from now, because you can play that game for a while too. I don't think they will. But
all those teams will be drafting quarterbacks next year.
We love quarterback drama with the Minnesota Vikings. It never goes away.
We'll continue the Vikings conversation with Mark Rosen next on the Tennafitzgerald.
KFAN's Bracket Challenge has returned. Head over to our contest page, lock in your bracket today. A perfect bracket could land you $1 million. Don't delay. Get yours now. KFAN.com, keyword contest. Driven by Dave Smith Motors, America's only national car dealer.
Just talking during the break, you're heading to go get some good tomatoes in about a month or so, huh?
I am. We were
Italy's
just talking
lovely.
about. Yes. This is been kind of a trip of a lifetime with another couple, and very excited about it. And I just got to get myself in tip-top shape, as they say.
Oh, you'll be doing some walking.
Oh, I know. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Very excited about it. I guess I'll have to get up at 3 a.m. in Italy to catch the highlights of the Wild playoff game or the Timberwolves first round. I'll be back. I put it this way. I'm counting on both the Wild and the Wolves getting past the first round. So I'll definitely be back for the second round, both respective teams, but they're both going to be in the meat grinder, as they say.
So you have been to parts of Italy before?
Oh, yeah. I've been to, Denise and I had gone, the two of us, and then took the kids I think 2 years later, and we did a whole trip in Europe, and that was really the most memorable trip of my life because it involved going to Normandy, and when we were in France, and taking a tour of where my dad landed at Utah Beach, and being up there and seeing. This was right after Saving Private Ryan to come out, so for my son in particular, who was a perfect age for all of that. To go to Normandy and to see the bunkers and seeing Omaha Beach and understanding and trying to, tell him where my dad was and followed his, I knew what his route was basically from Cannes and, landing at Utah Beach all the way through. So that part of the trip in France was the most special time of my life, I think, sharing it with my kids. And not more importantly, but equally important, just to say to honor my dad, who never got a chance to go back. To see, where he landed and, hearing all the stories many years later, at least a few of them, That was great. But then we ended up going to Italy, and just had a marvelous time. So going back with Karin and another couple. So
Italy's terrific. The food, if you like Italian food, it's a great place to go.
I love
the tomatoes do taste different there, and they taste better there now. The bread's not going to be as good.
Well,
because they actually try to keep preservatives and all that other junk out of it.
But the gelatos,
the bread's just not. Oh, the gelato. Oh yeah.
Come on.
All I'm hearing is you would rather go across the world than head over to St. Paul and see a Wild game. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, that's not a question of would rather. It's a sort of...
He's just so confident they're going to be advancing a couple rounds that he's going to catch up with them later.
I'll be back for the Colorado series. Come on.
I did... I made a tweet the other day about the unfairness of where the Wild are in the standings right now.
Right.
And... I got the Michael Russo repost, which then means the entire hockey world now had to come in and Russo just set a fire on my thread. Just people nonstop bickering at each other over the playoff system. And they also act like I'm some bitter man about this. I really don't care that much. It is unfair. If you look at the NHL standings, right, because of the way they works now. So Colorado is the best team in the West.
Right.
Dallas is the second best team in the West.
Right.
The Wild are the third best team. Mm-hmm. The fourth best team right now is a tie between the Anaheim Ducks and the Utah Mammoth, who the Wild play tonight.
Right.
The Utah Mammoth are fourth.
73 points.
The Utah Mammoth, right now, if the playoffs started today, the Utah Mammoth would play the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, boy.
Whereas the Wild have to play the Stars. So the Wild are... 12 points ahead of the Mammoth,
right?
Yet would have to play a first-round opponent that is 15 points ahead of what the Utah Mammoth would have to play. And I get it. They've been doing it for years. It just doesn't seem right. You're just taking away from your regular season success. And I get it. And people are going, just stop being one and done, and you got to play the best to beat the best. It's still just not right. And I know we've had this in the past, right? We had in the NFL where sometimes the division winner is 8-9 and gets the 4 seed, right? But it's still this one just seems way further than anything we've seen before.
Meanwhile, you got Anaheim in first by a point over Vegas in the Pacific Conference. And who would Vegas play?
Edmonton? Okay. Yeah, so the way it works is the top 3 teams in each division are on the same side of the bracket.
Right.
So the 2 versus 3 in each division play each other. Mm-hmm. And then the 1 seeds play the 2 wild card teams, which could be from either division.
I see.
So right now, Utah has the best record of the wild card team, so they would then cross over and play the worst of the division. So it's not fair that the Utah Mammoth would get the Anaheim Ducks in the first round. We are 12 points ahead of Utah, and then we get stuck with Dallas. It's not right.
Well, it's not right, and there's not a damn thing we can do about it.
No.
At the same time, the concern, I think, is, and this is where I'm sure that John Hines and Bill Guerin have, when doing what they did before the trading deadline, trying to build that team up a little bit more physically, et cetera, because let's just say, the Wild survived that first round series with the Dallas Stars, and it goes 7. That's going to take a lot out of you. I mean, it's going to be a rugged...
And then you get Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just for the second round.
Yeah.
But it does show you that it's...
Whereas Utah, if they play the Ducks and beat them, which they will...
Sure.
Then they'd get Vegas or Edmonton, which they're fine teams, but they're not Colorado.
Is this going to take...
That's just not right.
Is this going to take the commissioner, the owners, the Players Association, we've had this discussion for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they've had this for a long time.
It was 1-8.
They wanted to create division rivalries, and at the time they did it, I'm like, I like this idea because I remember growing up in the Norris division days, right, where the Stars are playing the Chicago Blackhawks, and I loved the rivalries, and you'd play them in the playoffs, and it was great. So when they first came out with this, I'm like, I kind of like the idea of trying to create some rivalries. Now I'm just kind of bored of it, and it's too complicated for the average fan to understand with the wild cards and they should just go back to 1 through 8. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Wild fan that's going to get screwed by it.
But I'm of the opinion when the playoffs begin, it's different than the regular season. You establish in the course of 2 games probably a rivalry with the team that you're playing in the postseason. You may have an odd fight or 2.
Yeah.
But you'll get to know the villains on the other team, even if you're not familiar with them. If you're playing, Seattle, obviously if you play Edmonton, it's a whole different story. But my point is, those rivalries will emerge in the context of potentially a 7-game series.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if you're playing Dallas or Colorado at that point. You're playing a team that you just have to get past to move on to the next round. Nobody cares that, you'll find some guy who's going to take a run at Kaprizov or something. He'll be, villain number 1 when they play at XL. That part of it, I think, is overrated.
Ryan Suter.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but again, there's not a damn thing we can do about it, and you move on. And this is why I think that
I can make my voice heard, so it makes future change.
I talked to our guy Kevin Gorg yesterday, during the podcast I did with him, and I asked him about how John Hines is now going to approach these final games, because pretty much the Wild are, we know they're going to finish second or third. They're 3 points behind Dallas, and Dallas has a game in hand, so it's still there for him, but. But
that doesn't even matter. They're playing each other. So
exactly.
And the home ice part of it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. But do you now give Quinn Hughes some rest time? Do you give Kaprizov
the way he played against Colorado, he might need a little rest.
Well, what I'm saying is, why grind him to a dust if it's not going to matter?
They're not getting caught by Utah, and they're not catching Colorado, so they're playing in that game.
And you have extra bodies now on this team. I'm not suggesting benching him for a couple of games, but
load management. I'm with you.
Load management is
Joel Eriksson actually get some rest.
Right. You want these guys that obviously 100%. They have options now with the lineup. I was just reading. Well, who's out tonight?
Foligno's still out. Marcus, I should say.
But no, not from a healthy scratch. Who scored the goal?
Oh, Nico Sturm.
Sturm, yeah. He was told.
Scored the big goal against Colorado. Now he's out of the lineup.
He's up in the press box tonight. But my point is.
Johansson's back.
Yeah, that's my point, is that you have opportunities to give other guys some rest before this thing starts. Anyway, it's a fun discussion to have, and it ain't going to change. So bring on Dallas.
We'll continue talking.
Norm Green sucks.
Kind of talk like a potpourri of topics.
Okay,
I want to talk Wolves, even go for basketball. Let's continue Vikings free agency talk. Maybe Wild, maybe elsewhere in the NBA. We'll do that with Mark Rosen next. Again.
Catch every tournament upset, every highlight with the fan at Hop House. You join almost everybody. Guardsy, Meat Sauce, Max, Parker, Halvey for multiple bracket bash watch parties March 19th and the 20th to catch college hoops on the big screens and with prizes flowing all day long, including 65-inch TVs. Get all the details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Welcome back to Tennafitzgerald. Mark Rosen here, Brett Blakemore here as well. Mark, the Vikings have done their best Twins impression over the last 2 days. Well, they had to go bargain bin shopping with some of these free agents because we're up against the salary cap. We had to cut some salaries just to get under it. But your thoughts on free agency so far? Because I think the only external player they brought in is Steelers cornerback James Pierre. Correct? Everyone else has been re-signed.
That's it. Yeah, everyone else that they've signed, they have to get a new punter. Ryan Wright signed a nice contract elsewhere. DePaulo re-signed the long snapper, which doesn't, he's really good at what he does. I get a kick out of it in this context. The Vikings emptied their wallets last year in free agency, right? They spent a lot of money on a lot of guys, Hargrave, Allen, 3 or 4 of these guys aren't going to be back this year. And then I'm reading yesterday after the first day, what are the Vikings doing? They're sitting on their hands. They're not signing anybody. I'm like, well, first of all, they don't have that much money. Number 2, it's just the first day. You got to play the long game a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not concerned about what their thought process is about the running back position. I think Brandella could be the center. We know they have other holes on this team, but we got to kind of let it breathe a little bit. There are still a lot of players out there in a lot of areas, and I think the idea that the Vikings, number one, can't spend that kind of money like they did a year ago, and we know that didn't really work out all that well. So there's different ways of approaching it, and I think it's more important right now. The Vikings have all of their draft picks, and they got to use them correctly, of course, 100%. But they're in a position, starting with number 18 overall, to add to the roster in much different ways, and making sure that they fill those roles, and they cannot swing and miss pretty much in any of the top 3 or 4. I don't think anything shocking has happened. If you look at the list of free agents out there, potential quarterback destinations, teams looking for starter quarterback depth. Well, the Vikings' current top quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. The Steelers have Mason Rudolph. And
Rudolph?
Yeah, Mason Rudolph. He's still in the league. So, I mean, it's just, I think tomorrow when the bell officially rings at 3:00, we'll get some more movement. Again, it's not to say that Kyler Murray is going to be a Minnesota Viking by 5:00 tomorrow, but he very well could be, because as he may have already told his agent. But Arizona, first of all, has to cut him loose. That has to be official. And I don't think that should be more of a formality than anything else.
They've told him
Yeah, I mean,
he's already said his goodbyes.
Yeah, he's not going back.
And they signed Gardner Minshew as another backup quarterback.
So I mean, certainly by Thursday or Friday at the latest, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens tomorrow.
We mentioned earlier that the New York Jets traded for Geno Smith from the Las Vegas Raiders for a 6th-round pick. But an interesting note I just read from at ESPN.com, Rich Simony, he writes, because they could have just waited for Geno Smith to be released, but they opted to trade a 6th-round pick for him.
Right.
They traded a pick swap, 6th-round pick for Smith and a 7th rounder. And as Simony writes, if the Jets had waited for him to be released at 4 p.m. Wednesday, Eastern time, they could have signed him for $1.3 million, the veteran's minimum.
Right.
But they would have faced competition for him. The Minnesota Vikings were known to be interested.
Well, I think they were. I don't think that's a secret. I mean, I think they were interested, and it's not to suggest that it was still not going to be Kyler Murray, but that's the thing, too, is Arizona trying to get some sort of trade compensation for Murray? I don't know what they're going to get for him. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. But, yeah, I think Geno Smith's name was mentioned as much, and some people in the Vikings orbit definitely were like Geno Smith, even though he's older and been around, that he might fit what KOC likes to do more than Kyler Murray does. So I don't think it would have been a shock had he come here, but no, I obviously Kyler Murray's a sexier, using that term, name and player, and more dynamic with whatever. And I use the term shortcomings. I don't mean because you can't see over the lineman, but you know what I mean. There we go. Yeah, horn for that one. But I think I do think it's all going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what the end game is that Arizona is going to be trying to play to deal with it. They got to move on with their lives as well.
Well, let's move on to Warren in St. Paul. Hi, Warren. You're on with Mark Rosen.
Warren.
Well, this was how you doing?
Good to hear your lovely voice.
It was real interesting to see what happened so far. Chicago made an excellent move, but this is what I could see the Vikes, where they might make the best move they could possibly make, is trades. Not necessarily by free agents. Now, somebody told me the Vikes could make a trade with the Jets for their starting center a lot, and he's still on his rookie contract. I would try to get this Joe Tippmann, because he's played multiple positions as number one there. Good news for the Vikings, though, coming out of the draft. The guy that they really should get is this Jones from Iowa, this center, the Remington Award winner. He ain't going to go as high as some of these other linemen, but this is going to be interesting to see what happens because of all these centers that are either retiring or all that. But I would say they got the ability to make it, if they're smart enough to do it, because I think they think that their offensive line is fine. And Brandell cannot be on an offensive line on a winning team. Now, you still got Faulele out there, who's not going to, he started since he's been in the league, would be a great pickup. Now, the guy I told you that was going to be really well, that used to be with the Vikings, is that Vadarian Lowe. Should have been in the Super Bowl. And if you look at what happened between Bradbury and him in the second half of the season, left side didn't give up any sacks. Well, of course, our division, we gave up one of the best centers in the league. But I think he was one of the best offensive linemen in the league. And they got two good guards. That's going to be really a big thing for Chicago going against the Vikings. And the running back position in the draft, what you want to look for, there's two Penn State running backs that are going to go really high. Singleton is this guy out there you want to keep your eye on. The other thing that I believe the Vikings could do,
Warren.
Yep. If the Vikings would make a trade with the Jets for Gennard and what it would take to get that center, The guy that defensive back from Indianapolis is the best defensive back available. He's not going for big money, and I would say his first name is Nick. That would be a great move for the Vikings, because if they did get rid of Gennard, I think it might take $10 million to sign this guy.
All right. Thanks for call. Thanks for call, Warren. Appreciate it.
I'll take any lineman that played for the Indiana Hoosiers. That's just me. I looked at that offensive line in the college playoffs, and that's starting center. I don't know where he's even projected to go. He may not even be available in the draft. But man, those guys were beasts up front for Indiana. Anyway.
And we did not do 5 questions today, so I want to mention that would have been brought to you by Willow River Company. Willow River Company. You know what I missed for the Vikings? I felt like back in the day, we would randomly get steals deep in the draft with our offensive linemen, right? Like a Matt Burke in the 6th round.
Right.
I feel like we haven't had like an offensive lineman 3rd round or later hit in a long time. Can you correct? Like they've had to spend money in free agency. They've drafted a lot of linemen in the last 10 years in the first, second round.
Yeah. But that's what you need to do.
Every once in a while, we've seen a 6th round, especially an offensive line.
Exactly. That's my point, even mentioning the guys from Indiana. I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there that, this is where your scouts have to come through on not just draft night, but as the board gets filled out before the end of April draft, and the Vikings, as I say, have all their picks. This is what Seattle's done so well, and Seattle hasn't made any moves. They lost their top running back, obviously, and I don't think they've signed anybody yet. And yet, they'll be obviously one of the top 2-3 Super Bowl contending teams again next year. But the Vikings have to do what Seattle did, and that's hit on all those picks. At least have a contribution from those guys, every one of them, every one of you. So.
One of my least favorite players in the NBA is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Well,
mostly because he's a foul baiter. But even though I don't like him, you still have to respect him. Did you see his performance last night?
I watched. You know what? I caught the game. They were playing Denver, and the game was on national television. And I caught second half last night, and it was a really good basketball game because Denver was fully healthy. And Joker was doing his thing, and they had their complement of players. And SGA was, I think he only went to the foul line 3 or 4 times, but he made some incredibly clutch shots down the stretch. It was a really fun finish to the game. It looked like Denver they got a 4-point play and put them ahead by 1, and SGA knocked down a game winner. Yeah, he still has those moments where he's. Well, like Anthony Edwards does. Every time he takes a shot, he's arms outstretched, looking at the ref going, wait, I didn't get an and one? But last night was why he's the MVP. I mean, he was that good down the stretch. And they were playing without Chet Holmgren. They're a very, very deep team, a couple other players as well. And it's a scary Western Conference with OKC, San Antonio. Obviously, the Wolves are in the mix. They have, I think, the 4th or 5th best record in the NBA. The playoffs are going to be exciting, but you got to stay healthy.
So SGA, 35 points, 15 assists, and did not turn the ball over last night. According to ESPN research, LeBron James is the only other player to record at least 35 points, 15 assists with no turnovers since turnovers became an official stat in 1977, 1978. Also, this might even be more impressive. Last night was SGA's 126th consecutive game of scoring at least 20 points.
Incredible. Matching
Wilt Chamberlain's record streak set from 1961 to 1963.
Take on that. Wilt Chamberlain.
126.
Yeah.
And let's face it, like OKC's a team, how many times have they just been up 30 at halftime and they don't need to play their starters down the stretch? Or to go through all those games without having an injury that takes you out? Or just you happen to have a bad shooting night, right? I mean, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's one thing to be Wilt Chamberlain and be 7 feet tall and just be able to just get layup after layup, but for SGA to do it, 20 plus points in that many games in a row.
Yeah, he was that good that last night. I mean, it was a really, really good basketball game. We talk about NBA. Colin and I argue about it all the time, but the effort, lack of effort, whatever it might be. But you had 2 Class A teams going at it last night, and it was definitely like a playoff caliber basketball game. And SGA was that good, and Joker was almost equally. I think he had a triple double again. And Denver almost pulled that game out. But the Wolves play tonight. You want to stay up late? Doesn't start till 10.
I was just going to bring that up.
10 o'clock.
That is ridiculous.
Not 9. And we talked
not 9:30.
We talked about we've talked about time situations going back to the Olympic gold medal hockey game. Oh, we got to get up at 7 a.m. or whatever to watch it. Well, okay, that's one thing. But as much of a basketball fan as I'm not staying up just till 12:30, and then it probably won't even start at 10 because there's a double. I think it's a double header.
Well, there is a game before him. That's Boston San Antonio. That game starts at 7. So they are giving a little extra window where you should be able to start on time. But to your point,
how are they creating? I mean, certainly on the East Coast, it's 11 o'clock, and I know it's Minnesota and L.A., but LeBron I don't think is playing tonight. But still, wow.
That was going to be my point. Is the reason it's starting at 10 o'clock is so you can nationally televise it.
Yeah,
60% of the nation is out from the get-go, including one of the markets that's in the game.
Correct.
You're average.
Not L.A. at 8 o'clock.
Other than John Krasinski and Max Fuller, like who's staying up at 10 o'clock tonight to watch a game that's going to end up at...
I'll be up at 10, but I'm not going to necessarily be up at 12.
No, you ain't staying through all that.
I don't think I am. No, I would be... It'd be crazy. I need my sleep.
But no. Even if you're in the mountain time zone, if you're living in Wyoming, you're like, I got to stay up 9 o'clock.
And
LA versus Minnesota, I got to stay up and watch this.
We're going to have these discussions, talk about the playoffs in the postseason, both hockey and the NBA. When the Wild play Dallas, even though they're both in the Central Time Zone, they very well could be having 8:45, 8:50 starts, right?
Because of course. We will.
They'll have an East Coast game starting at 6. The Rangers playing someone or whatever.
And I'm annoyed by that, and it's a playoff game.
Yeah, this is different.
This is a regular season game. What are we doing?
I understand that, but it's still...
Start Boston, San Antonio. At least move it a half hour.
I know.
Start at 6:30.
When I saw that at 10 o'clock, I went, oh my, that's getting out there. For, again, a regular season game that... it has some meaning, probably means more in L.A.
It means a little bit because the Lakers are currently one game back of the Wolves. So the Wolves have a chance here to separate themselves a little, give it a little 2-game cushion against L.A.
They do.
It seems pretty clear the Wolves and probably the Lakers are going to be in that 3-6 range, right? Where 3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5.
Yep.
Those teams are Denver, L.A., Lakers, and Houston.
Correct.
What's your rank? How would you rank them in terms of who you'd like to play in a playoff series?
Say that again. Denver,
LA Lakers, and Houston.
Probably the Lakers.
That's who you want to see the most?
Yeah. I'd rather.
Luka doesn't scare you?
Of course he scares you. He doesn't scare you. You have to respect him. I just think that Minnesota, actually probably match up better against in the playoffs, probably match up better against Denver, but I would probably take the Lakers. Houston is a really
they matched up well with Denver when they used to have the big meow.
Right.
He was the one who defended Jokic. Yeah. They don't have him anymore.
It's pick your poison. I think that, it's also what teams, I think, who did I see? I was mouthing off about, we like to play, we have Minnesota's number. It was somebody from Denver, maybe it was. But, it doesn't, again, we're talking about the Wild playing Dallas and/or Colorado, and they may have to play both of them. But that's what you hope is going to happen. It doesn't matter who you play in the first round. You just had the Wolves have been able to advance, obviously, the Western Conference Finals the last couple of years. If they stay healthy and are this productive and can mix it up, then they certainly can compete and win against any of those teams. They play again tomorrow night too in LA against the Clippers, so they're staying out there. They get the back-to-back.
And they got OKC this weekend in a dreaded afternoon game, which apparently they struggle with.
Is that on the road? That's not here, is it?
I don't remember, but I thought it was a noon start.
Well, when I saw that, I was texting with my son. I saw that and the Wolves were playing that 2:00 game on Sunday. I went, this isn't going to turn out well. I've seen this movie before. Every time the Wolves seemingly play an afternoon game at home, they sleepwalk through it. And boy, did they ever the other day. So I expect them to play and come out. It's, the bright lights of L.A. tonight, and they want to put on a show, even though it's on late. They'll be engaged tonight. Jaden McDaniel and Niles Reed were invisible the other night. I don't think either one of them made a basket. So the other afternoon. So I would expect they have to have better games just by showing up tonight.
Big Ten tournament starts. I think it actually starts tonight, but for the Gophers, it starts tomorrow. They're the 11th seed. They got the 14th seed Rutgers. That'll be tomorrow night, and it'll probably be around 8:30ish, depending on when the game before them ends.
Right.
If they win, they get number 6 UCLA Thursday night. Are you expecting any Medved magic this week?
Not magic. I think certainly, they just beat Rutgers, so I think they can handle Rutgers. They could certainly beat UCLA. And then after that, it gets pretty dicey. And especially when you're playing back-to-back-to-back games and you have 6 players on your team. That's the other problem. You don't have a couple days off in between. You're just playing. And I think Nico's obviously realistic enough to know that, his guys are going to go out there and give a good account of themselves and play hard and do what they have to do and hopefully get reinforcements back next year. I mean, it's clear that I think Michigan right now is, as people get closer to March, to Selection Sunday, that Michigan is kind of the cream of the crop right now in the Big Ten. They took care of business against Michigan State, and they look like, the number one team in the Big Ten and one of the top. If you start filling out your bracket, I mean, it's pretty hard to keep Michigan out of the Final Four. But the Big Ten is pretty balanced as well. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think the Final Four is going to be the whole tournament's going to be fun. I mean, we're at that point now where it's here, and I've watched a little bit more college basketball of late, and there's some damn good teams around the country, and there's not going to be any given about one particular team. You got Duke, you got Arizona, you got the usual suspects, Michigan, as I mentioned. But good luck filling out your bracket. That's all I can say, Blake.
Wild get Utah tonight.
That's not good, is it?
They have not done well against the Mammoth this season. They lost 6-2 at Grand Casino Arena earlier in the season. They lost 5-2 recently to Utah. Brett, you can chime in as well. But the Utah Mammoth have kind of had their number. Utah Mammoth, coolest jerseys, logo in all of hockey. Cool, are they not? Those are sweet.
Yeah.
They just need to visualize playing against the Coyotes and imagine the old.
Yeah, because they dominated the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
You'd go to those games in Phoenix, and then the Wild would score, and it'd be louder than when Phoenix would score, which rarely happened when they were there.
I assume they're drawing pretty well in Utah. I mean,
I would think so.
They have to.
Not that I follow along.
They have a good team.
Every team's first season, yeah.
Well, of course, they're selling. A lot of. They haven't sold NHL hockey out there, so I mean, I'm sure they're thrilled about it. But yeah, I mean, it's nice that the Wild are home all week, basically. So, again, it's a matter of nothing's going to really move a lot in the standings. So, it's just staying healthy and getting the production and watching how Wallstead played the other day against Colorado. That was encouraging. I was talking to Gorgie about that too. About they're going to run with Gus Bus. Usually one team likes to just go with one goalie in the postseason, but. Wallstead may make it a little difficult for him.
He was great the other day.
He was phenomenal. So, I mean, it's not a bad decision to have to make if you want to change goalies. It's not necessarily a reflection on that guy, but most teams... There's
a reason I said you don't trade him unless you're bringing in a big fish in return. You can see why. Big fish.
It looked like the whole weight of the world was off his chest the other day. He played spectacular.
Yeah, too bad he suffered the loss in that one.
Yeah, well, that was, the shootout. I mean,
Marcus Johansson back in the lineup tonight. Nico Sturm out.
Right.
It is going to be interesting, I think, now, because they have so many players, they're going to be trying to piece together, over the next month or so, what's our ideal lineup going into the playoffs.
Correct.
Johansson's been playing on that line with Boldy and Eriksson Ek a good chunk of the season.
How good is Matt Boldy right now?
He's terrific.
Good Lord.
He's a superstar. I mean, we have three guys going right now that are better than anything basically we've ever had in the history of the Minnesota Wild with Quinn Hughes, Kaprizov, and Matt Boldy.
Well, thanks for making this so relaxing today.
Yeah, well, your time is up.
Oh, damn it.
You're not going to sleep tonight because you get the Common Man back tomorrow.
Not staying up late to watch the Wolves. I'm not going to sleep because I have to worry about Common tomorrow.
Thank you, Brett. Appreciate your help. Brian Oak will join tomorrow as well for Rock Talk. Thanks for listening today. It's been a good day.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.